So I guess we're gonna move on to NFC South first.
That's fine.
Well, today we woke up to the Shaq Barrett news. So he probably was the first big name off the market, which is surprising. He came off right away. How you feel about that signing?
It's the Tom Brady method, take less money, keep the big fish around. The problem is everyone always says that everyone should be like Tom Brady, but there's only one Tom Brady, and Tom Brady gets to keep doing that because he keeps winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not even gonna waste too much time talking about Tampa Bay because they cleared out they got to work pretty quickly because they're a good organization. So they had everything. They just created the space they needed really that I was looking for. They got the tag. I'd look into extending Godwin to lower the number this year, so maybe you could try to get Sue back too. But I don't think they're bringing back Sue. But I did. I had him taking Shaq. I had him signed. I had him pegged for 90 mil. That's what I thought he'd take. He took, what was his final number?
4 for 72.
72. He took a nice deal. They gave him a little bit more guaranteed money right away, but team friendly. I'm okay with that. I really wonder how much he left on the market.
Oh, he definitely. If he's taking 18, he left at least 6 annually on the market. At least that.
6. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that he went with such a long term. He went with a 4-year deal. I want to see the full numbers because that cap's going to spike in 2 years.
He's never been paid, though.
He's probably going to want to hit that. He's probably going to want to bite the apple one more time.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he was an undrafted rookie, free agent. Yeah. So he's never been paid. He was on the tag. So I understand he had to go get his money now because it was now or never for him. He's also entering his 30s, right?
Yeah, he's 28.
Yeah. So it was now or never for him. So good for him. Good player. I wish the Giants had used that 1-year prove-it deal on him. Marcus Golden was good, but a good organization like Tampa Bay showed would have got a guy who could give him 20 sacks for $5 billion. But I also think all that's left for them to do really is to go get Gronk and AB, and that's $4 to $5 million per for each. On some short deals. You think anybody will steal Gronk or AB?
Nah, though. AB's possible because you never know what's going through AB's mind, but Gronk and Tom just seem to be destined forever.
Yep. So what do you think about their chances to repeat? You got them as the NFC favorite, is what you said earlier.
I think they're obviously the NFC favorite. I really don't see a move that another NFC contender can make that would put them ahead of Tampa Bay at this point. Green Bay obviously can come close. We'll see how Matthew Stafford works out in LA, but right now I think you got to call Tom Brady and the Bucs the favorite to repeat again.
Okay. Back David, Godwin, Shaq, probably getting back Gronk and AB. Get on to the Super Bowl champions. Good luck to TV12, I guess. All right, moving on to New Orleans. We also got the news this morning that Drew Brees is retiring. Get on to him. Congratulations on a great career.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're getting these 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks out the door, except for one, obviously.
New Orleans also got to work. They've got a lot of their restructurings done. They got the Thomas restructuring done. They cut up on Jenkins. They cut I don't know if they cut Murray yet, but I think they should be cutting him soon, too. But, yeah, what do you think their future lies?
I mean, they were a team that was $94 million in the cap, so they had to go to work as quickly as they could. They have even given themselves a chance of doing anything. The Saints over the last 2-3 years have arguably had the most talented roster in the NFL. But now with the cap taking a deep drop and Drew Brees going into retirement with no real answers at the quarterback position, I think we'd expect a significant dip from the New Orleans Saints this year.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think they can make any free agency moves really this offseason. No, they're not going to be in the situation.
Like Philly, they're another team that's going to have to bite the bullet this year and just be bad. And
I don't know if they'll be bad. I mean, they're still going to have Ramchick, and they did tag Williams. I'm surprised they tagged Williams. They don't have the cap space to do it, so who knows how they really tagged Williams. And they've got Lattimore. So if they extend those three, those are 3 good players. They've got that great draft class from there. So, I mean, they've got that going for them. Apparently, they're going with Hill and Winston.
And I think as we saw, Hill and Winston with a great coach can win 7-8 games. That's probably their ceiling at this point.
7-8. I mean, they went 3-1 with Taysom Hill last year, undefeated with Teddy Bridgewater the year before, 5-0. Sean Payne's been pulling off some magic, but I don't think a full year.
A full year with everybody getting the game plan for these guys. And
they're an 8-8. That's they're staring 8-8 in the face because I also think the teams. Oh yeah, gotta remember that. I also think the other teams in their division are pretty good. Tampa Bay is the former champion, and Carolina, they always got a chance. And who's the other team in that division?
Atlanta.
Atlanta was a former. They have Super Bowl pedigree, you could say. So that's it for really New Orleans.
Well, we can move forward. We can move forward to Atlanta, who another rough season for them. Atlanta's going to be picking 6 overall in the draft, I think, this year, 6 or 7. And just for a team that just a short while ago had a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl, the fall of Atlanta has been just as drastic as Carolina's, obviously. Atlanta's still $10 million over the cap as of right now because they got a bunch of old veterans on the roster. They have needs at basically the entire defense, secondary, edge, whatever you want to call it. Atlanta has big-time needs at their position. But in order to open up cap space, I went ahead and restructured Julio, saving about $9 million there. I extended Grady Jarrett, which saves you another 10 right there. That gets them at about $9 million over. And then I extended Marshawn Lattimore, which gave you another $7 million, which put Atlanta at about $16 million in cap space to give them an opportunity to make some plays in free agency, because at the end of the day, that roster is still offensively. That roster is pretty set. Like they've got talent all over it. Matt Ryan, Julio, Calvin Ridley. I like the Hayden Hurst kid. So they got a bunch of guys who can go out there and perform. Offensive line still there. They just have to find a way to improve the defense.
What do you think it would take to blow that up? What type of assets do you need to be getting back? Because
you got to get at least a 1 for Matt.
The way I see it, they have Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Deion Jones. Those are the only valuable players on their entire roster, really.
Yeah, I kept Deion Jones around as a young coverage linebacker. That's a foundational piece you want on your defense.
Yeah, and Grady Jarrett, but I wouldn't trade him.
Obviously.
Unless somebody gave up a couple first for him, I'd trade him. That's what I trade him for. But I mean, yeah, they're kind of. Who do you think they should go after?
They obviously don't have a ton of space to work with, so I went with a couple corners in Cheeto Awuzie and Jason Verrett. Both guys played a scheme that Atlanta has run historically over the years, and those guys are younger, like middle of their prime kind of players. They probably won't come too expensively, which will give them a chance to bring in some more talent in that secondary, which will give them a better chance of trying to cover guys, because they've obviously struggled over the last few years. I went with Carlos Dunlap on the edge, because he's somebody who just got cut from Atlanta, veteran defensive end presence that can give him somebody who could possibly help take some attention off of Grady Jarrett and after the quarterback.
Prices, numbers that you think that these guys are getting?
They only got about 16 in cap space, so I went 2 for 16 for Cheeto. I went 2 for 12 for Jason Verrett, and I went 1 for 10 for Carlos Dunlap.
That's not bad. That'd be a nice little busy man, workman-like free agency period. So I guess the real question is, what's the prospects of this division looking like? Is Tampa Bay is clearly
Tampa Bay's got to be the clear, obvious favorite. I really don't think there's another move another team can make to really pressure them. And I think next would probably be Atlanta, just off of the talent that they currently have, but we'll see what they do in the draft. I think the draft will make a big determination of how competitive Atlanta's trying to be this year. And then I put New Orleans down there just because of Sean Payton and the talent that they do have.
All right, so do you think that Atlanta and New Orleans, I have them both about 500 teams. Well, clearly there's not 500 anymore, but they look like 7 to 9 win teams. Mm-hmm. So I guess the real question is, now we're going to move on to our last team in that division, and how do you feel about that team?
The Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers were interesting. They were probably better than we were expecting for them to be, at least in the early part. They were actually really productive without Christian McCaffrey for a few stretches of games, which is obvious. Another reason why you shouldn't be paying running backs whatever they're paying them, but McCaffrey's a big time weapon for them, who hopefully will come back healthy next season. They're sitting on about $30 million in cap space, and even though they spent 7 picks on the defense last year, they still definitely need upgrades on that side of the ball. They were awful at defending the run last year. They were all right against the pass, but they definitely need some front seven help.
Think they have enough for a Deshaun Watson trade package?
I mean, the problem is we don't know what enough is. right now, because Houston has come out here and repeatedly said they are moving forward as if Deshaun Watson is their starting quarterback. So I really think we're gonna have to wait until Deshaun Watson actually misses games before we determine whether he's gonna be what his true trade package is.
I mean, I'm just saying in general. I mean, at some point, if a team offered enough, they have a lot of those defensive guys that look really young and for future first round picks?
Well, if you want to throw a package of the number 7 overall pick, you want to throw Burns in there and maybe Dante Jackson and like 2 or 3 more first round picks. Even then, I still think there would probably be better offers on the table. They just don't have enough blue chip talent right now on their defense.
I think that's kind of what I was looking at. How good do you think their defensive young guys are? I think their defensive line and edge guys are the other better prospects they have on that team.
It's like you like Yeda Gross-Matos, you like Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin looks like a good player back there at safety in the secondary, but Derek Brown looks like he could be possibly a force in the interior defensive line position. So they've got some guys who are all obviously very young and they're going to take a little bit to turn into the defensive players they will be. But they have a chance to become a better defense sooner rather than later. I just think they need some veteran guys in there to really help put that defense over the top. They sitting with about $30 million in cap space. The first target I went with them was KJ Wright, the linebacker from Seattle. He's a veteran guy, excellent in coverage. He said he wants to get paid this year, and Carolina has the money to at least throw him a decent sized deal.
Is he still? How much does he have left? Do you think?
I think if you want a guy for the next year or two to help coach up the young guys and be a foundational piece for your defense while you try to transition into these younger players, I think KJ Wright's the perfect kind of bridge team captain type of defensive player that can help bring along the younger guys they have.
Yeah.
The next guy I went with was a surprising guy because I generally don't value him very highly, but Jadeveon Clowney, because he coming off another injury-riddled season, but that Carolina was really bad against the run last year. And if Clowney can do anything really well, it's disrupt the run game, and you could play him at multiple different spots: edge, D tackle, linebacker, and so that's the type of guy right there who can definitely bring some talent, low risk, high reward kind of signing, and definitely help their run defense out.
That's actually a really good sneaky signing, and with all the young guys on the defensive line, he'd be a good veteran presence, I believe. So yeah, I could definitely see that.
But last I went with the offensive type of person. I went with Hunter Henry, the tight end from the Chargers,
who actually we got word of today is now the only tight end on the market.
Yeah, the only tight end of really name value that's left on the market right now,
because
which might up his price.
Confirmed that he was going to New England today, so we did find that out earlier today.
Exactly. And Carolina, who I like DJ Moore, I like Robbie Anderson. They've got 2 outside guys who can beat you deep and short. That's going to be really valuable for them. But the guy who was a sneaky player for them last year was Curtis Samuel, who they're probably going to lose in free agency just because they might get priced out of him.
Yeah, they've already got 2 guys at receiver. They can't pay Curtis, who's clearly the 3rd most talented guy they've got.
Exactly. So I think a middle of the field chain moving type of threat in Hunter Henry could definitely help a young quarterback who they'll probably be going with next year. Or if they're starting Teddy Bridgewater next year, for a guy who doesn't really push the ball down the field, Hunter Henry could really thrive in that Carolina Joe Brady offense.
Yeah, he'd fit that scheme really well. So I guess the last thing to talk about really is, can this team join the upper half of this division?
I definitely think it's possible. They definitely have the chance to jump both Atlanta and New Orleans if things break right for them. If they come out here and manage to add some pieces to that defense to make them more consistent week by week, and McCaffrey stays healthy and Bridgewater stays healthy, they definitely have a chance to be a 8-9 win team, and that could easily put them at the 2nd place in the division.
So I guess we're both in agreement that they'll attack quarterback in the draft as opposed to free agency.
Yes, that seems to be the right, because you already have Teddy Bridgewater with I think 2 years left on his deal, so there's no reason to go after a Fitzpatrick or whoever else other quarterbacks who are currently on the market. I don't think any of those guys are upgrades over Teddy Bridgewater, and since they're picking top 10 in the draft, it just seems to make more sense to try to fill that need there.
Definitely. Well, that's it for the NFC South.